People mostly know YNW Melly for tracks like Murder on My Mind. The issue is that it might have been more than just a song for him. Jamel Maurice Demons, better known as YNW Melly, was born in 1999. Demons is indeed his actual last name by birth too. It's not just like he decided to change it later. As an up-and-coming rapper with features from the likes of Kodak Black, T Grizz, Juice WRLD, and Kanye West, what drove him to do the things he did? What drove him to murder an estimated 3 people across a series of 2 incidents? What in the world possibly could have caused him to kill 2 people who were incredibly close to him, if the story we have so far is correct? Might Melly have been wrongly accused of the murders, or is that really all there is to the story? And who is Melly's dual personality Melvin? Keep watching to find out exactly what happened from both sides of the story, right here on Rizzle. When Melly was growing up, he had it pretty rough. He was born to his mother when she was 14 years old, and it's not incredibly clear to us or to Melly who his real father is. Melly watched his mother struggle as a single woman for the entirety of his childhood. When he was in the 4th grade, he found a .22 revolver at his uncle's house, which he took outside to shoot. After doing so, he couldn't hear for a week. He took the gun with him and carried around pretty much everywhere, including school. After some time, both the gang life and music life got started for Melly. He started releasing music on SoundCloud at around 15 years old and also began to affiliate himself with the Bloods in the local area. Melly also met some kids who wanted to work on music with him, also taking on the YNW moniker, which stands for Young New Wave, among other things. He made friends with Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams, Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr., and Cortland YNW Bortland Henry, who will all have a very important role to play in the story later on. At school one day in 2015, he decided to pull out a gun and fire on 3 students outside of Vero Beach High School. He fled the scene, ditched the weapon, and tried to hide. But he was still caught and hit with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count of discharging a firearm in public. It was around this time that he first started talking about having a split personality with 2 different personalities inside of his head, one known as Melly and the other Melvin. As a result of what happened, he spent over a year in jail, where he spent a lot of time thinking about who he would become. In prison, he started penning the lyrics for his hit songs, Murder on My Mind and Blue Balenciagas. After he got out, he dropped Collect Call, a mixtape. He got back in the studio to get some music out quickly. After Murder on My Mind dropped, it didn't go viral immediately, but got over 1 million views quick. Between the split personality problem and the lyrics to Murder on My Mind, it seems like the signs of how Melly would end up later in his life were there pretty much the whole time, like little clues as to what Melly would become. Some of the lyrics to Murder on My Mind are as follows. I wake up in the morning, I got murder on my mind. AK-47, Mac 11, Glock and 9s. And all these niggas hating trying to knock me off my grind, but I can't let them do it. I got murder on my mind. Now, if he wasn't authentic and wasn't about that life, people would be calling him out for lyrics like that, but no one ever really complained about him rapping like this, so it seems like he was actually really about it. By 2018, almost everyone in the rap game knew who Melly was, and that's also when he popped up on Kanye West's radar. He had Billboard hits, put out platinum and gold tracks, and people were really starting to pay attention to Melly. While he was in the middle of a few legal battles for things like possession of substances, he was doing pretty well for himself, despite the fact that he had been through so much in his life, especially during his childhood. But that would change here incredibly soon, and Melly's life would take a turn for the worst, most likely as a result of his own actions. To outline the story as it stands now, it looks like in February of 2019, Jamel Demons was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 of the people from the YNW crew. YNW Sack Chaser, aka Anthony Williams, and YNW Juvie, aka Christopher Thomas Jr., were brought to the hospital by Melly's friend, Cortland Henry, in the aftermath of what appeared to be a drive-by. But it might have been more complicated than meets the eye. They both died due to complications resulting from their injuries. Police involved in the case say that Demons and Henry did their best to make it look like a drive-by had happened, when in reality, they were in league to murder the 2 men together. After that, Melly turned himself in, saying, "No, I did not get locked up in Washington, but I am turning myself in today. A couple months ago, I lost my 2 brothers by violence, and now the system wants to find justice. Unfortunately, a lot of rumors and lies are being said, but no worries, God is with me and my brother, YNW Bortland. And we want y'all to remember it's a YNW family. I love you. He's currently being held on those 2 charges with no possible bond at Broward County Jail. The murders, regardless of who did it, took place just a few days after putting the finishing touches on a YNW documentary, which pretty much the whole crew was featured in. The point of the doc was to show how far YNW had come and how well they were doing now. His trial hasn't really started, but when it does, it's sure to go on for ages. If he's found guilty, Melly could either be given life in prison, or if the judge wants, he could technically also hit Melly with the death penalty. Now, just to reiterate how close Melly was to Sack Chaser and Juvie, he literally has tattoos of their names on his face up on his forehead. In an interview, he recounted some of the friendship with them. The interviewer asked if they were homies who've died, and Melly says they're homies right now. Then the interviewer remarks that he wouldn't get any of his friends tattooed until they died. In hip-hop, it's a pretty common thing for people to get tattoos as memorials for people they were close to who have passed, whether those people are friends or family. Now, if Melly had them tattooed before they ever passed, could we take that as a hint that maybe he knew more about the murders than he originally was letting on? On October 25th of 2018, Melly, Sack Chaser, Bortland, and Juvie all drove home from the studio after about 8 a.m. that evening. At around 4, their vehicle was approached by another one, and shots were fired into the car. Sack Chaser and Juvie were shot in the head, while Melly and Bortland were uninjured. Before they could make it to the hospital, Sack Chaser and Juvie had already passed away. The next day, he got on Twitter to make a comment about his friends as a kind memorial. He said, "They took my brothers from me over jealousy. I know y'all watching over me. It's hashtag YNW4L. And after all, they want to see me break down and stop or in jail or a box. But my niggas still need me. They parents need me. They family need me. Till we meet again, my slimes." We'd also like to note that at this time, his Twitter name was Melvin and Melly Two-Face, just to bring it full circle with the concept of his multiple personalities. For a little while after the incident, he continued to tour and drop new albums, although there were things happening behind the scenes that could put a lot of that into jeopardy for Melly. The police in Florida were starting to piece things together, and they started to realize pretty quickly that Melly's story might not have been adding up. Melly turned himself in during 2019 when he heard that the police were looking for him. First off, the cops realized that there were no reports of shots near the location where Melly and Bortland said the shots had rang out. Not only that, but there was no evidence for anything like that either. They also found metadata from phones in the car at that time, which put the car at the opposite end of town, near a waste treatment plant. Now, at this location, forensic data also showed that there was no sign of any other vehicle in the area at that time. Not only that, but here's where things get really dark. After searching the vehicle, police also found shell casings that matched the bullets found in the bodies underneath the seat that Melly would have been sitting in at the time, meaning that they likely came directly from Melly's gun inside the car. The police also claimed that later, Melly and Bortland shot up the right side of the car to make it appear as if a drive-by actually happened, rather than the betrayal that likely took place. The real question here is the motive. Like, why would Melly and Bortland flip on 2 friends who had been there for them since day one? Was it maybe some kind of long-term self-defense where Juvie and Sack Chase are cooking up some similar plot? We can't really tell from here. And it's likely that since the trial hasn't even started, we won't know for a good while. What we do know is that Melly has a lawyer who got Lil Boosie out of a death penalty charge. It's pretty likely that Melly could get off on lack of evidence, but, that remains to be seen. After the incident, Bortland's father was shot, which fans are guessing happened in retaliation for the deaths of Juvie and Sack Chaser. With all these different swirling narratives and all the complicated moving pieces, we really do have to wait for the trial to know more, unfortunately. What do y'all think, though? Is Melly innocent, or did he do it? Who had the idea originally, Melly or Bortland? Why would they flip in the first place? Who would have killed Bortland's father then? All we can really do is wait a while to see how things shape up. But we can still make guesses until then. Let us know what you think down in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can get more rap news sent directly to your subscription feed right when new videos drop. Y'all have a great rest of your day. And as always, keep it Rizzle.